Hey Libra, this is your look at the astrology of June 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is Empowering Astrology. So let's take a look at the astrology this month. It's Gemini season primarily, and Gemini season for you is a season to look outward. It's a season to travel, and that's a little bit interesting at the moment, but nevertheless, maybe you're making plans to travel. Maybe you are looking out there into the world and thinking of all the places that you would like to go someday or someday soon. It's also the season to focus on higher education, education in general, and the need to just have a point of view. And maybe you have lots of point of views right now, but it is also eclipse season. So this is a little bit of an intense month. Eclipses, I kind of say this over and over again. It's like the curtain comes down on one act and the curtain comes up on another act, and something is shifting, something is changing. And this is the first solar eclipse in Gemini since really 2012 actually. Eclipses, they do repeat. They have sort of this 9-year, 18-year cycle, but this is actually also the first eclipse in Gemini in this present series. We will have an eclipse in Gemini next year, but for you, this is the part of your chart again that's about truth, wisdom, knowledge, philosophy, higher education, travel, law, legal matters, and maybe also the sense of what do you believe in. And so, and sometimes our beliefs can get in the way, but nevertheless, this is sort of this new beginning, this new reset. Mercury is retrograde at the time of this eclipse. This eclipse will be on June 10th, not to sort of skip ahead of myself, but when Mercury is retrograde, we just need to see things from a different perspective. It's more reflective than active. It's a different change in the energy. And Mercury is making something called a square to Neptune. So my only caution is to just double check what you're putting your convictions behind. Are they sound? Are you missing some key details? Are you seeing the truth, for example? But let's go back to the top of the month and start with Venus in Cancer. So Libra, Cancer is your sign of career. Cancer forms the top of your astrology chart, and Venus is giving you a little bit of a boost. So when Venus is in the career area, we have the charm, we have the grace to be able to make the connections we need to make in our professional life. We are meeting people on a professional level as well. It's great for professional networking as well. And maybe if you need new work or looking, applying for jobs, for example, Venus is going to give you a little bit of maybe some eyes. But Venus is also your planet, and now Venus is sort of directing you, because you're a Libra or Libra rising, it's directing you towards your professional life. So you have to look at what are your goals, what are your ambitions, what are your duties and responsibilities on a broader level, and how are you doing with them? This is something that I like to point out to my Libra rising clients, especially when they come to me with career questions, which a lot of people come to me with career questions. So Cancer is your career sign, and this is just your periodic reminder. July is a wonderful reminder that whatever you do, your heart needs to be in it. You have to love it. And so if you're getting to Venus and Cancer, or later in the month, we have Cancer season starting on June 20th. If you don't love what you do, it's going to be hard. Cancer is the sign that's ruled by the moon. It's the heart and soul of the chart. And your heart has to be in it. And so maybe this is a good time to reflect on your professional life and how to put more moon into it. Make sure it feeds you, it nurtures you, and maybe it feeds and nurtures others. So like I said, it's a little friendly reminder. And then we go into few days later, on June 5th, I'm looking at my notes, on June 5th, we have Mars opposite Pluto. So that's some intense energy as we start the beginning of June. There's this intense energy about relationships and power dynamics and the past and home and family, and needing to make some changes because Mars is up in your career sign. Mars has been in Cancer since the very end of April. So you've also been really pushing in your professional life since the end of April, but you're sort of running up against something as you start the month, and maybe just you're running up against it because something has to shift. Maybe it's a power dynamic with you and a boss, maybe something that is playing out from a very old power dynamic, maybe a power dynamic from childhood, but maybe this is a time when you're really having to push forward with what you want, your goals, your ambitions, but maybe that's ruffling some feathers. I don't know. You'll have to let me know, Libra. Then we have the solar eclipse on June 10th. The solar eclipse opens up a new chapter, a chapter that takes us over the coming 6 months. And this is going to be a 6 months when you have to get clarity on what your point of view is, what your philosophy is, what do you believe in, what's your truth, what's your faith. And this is a thread that's going to take you all the way into the end of 2021. And then a few days later, the next day, Mars goes into Leo. So Mars leaves your career sign and goes into the sign of friendships and community, social circle, but also the sign that points you towards the future. So you're going to feel really motivated to start connecting with friends. Maybe it's going to be a social second half of June going into July. But you also need to really go after what you want and start to dream about the future. Like, what are your ambitions? It's been an interesting year. If you get to Cancer season, for example, and you realize that you don't love what you do, okay, well, what's the strategy to get more passion in your life, to really make sure that your professional goals are in alignment with your heart, for example? But you are starting to see things round out in your personal calendar, because when we start to get to Leo, Leo then goes to Virgo, Virgo then goes to you, Libra. So you're starting to come to the end of your personal zodiac calendar, but not quite yet. And then on the 14th of June, we have Saturn square Uranus. Now, this is a much bigger story. Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus are making a square all year long, and even, to be honest, into the beginning of 2022, even though the last square is on December 24th. But their energy is still playing out into the first few months of 2022. Saturn for you is home and family. It's your roots, your foundation. It's where you live psychically, nostalgia of the past, where you live in the past. And a square to Uranus is not sentimental at all. So maybe you need to make some changes and realizing you have to let go of the past. And maybe this includes past traumas, things that you haven't wanted to face or deal with. And this is going to help you shift psychically. But for some Libras or Libra rising, this includes a major move, a move that is really taking you out of something familiar or unfamiliar, or sometimes there's a lot of discomfort in what is familiar, and maybe you need to leave that discomfort to find something that actually is going to truly support you and nourish you. I'm starting to see some themes this month. But this energy is going to take us all throughout the year, and it may mean that you are physically living, psychically living, emotionally living in someplace very different as you go into the start of 2022. But that sort of comes to a head in the middle of this month. And then on June 20th, Jupiter turns retrograde. It will turn retrograde at 2 Pisces. Pisces for you is your sign of health and wellness, how you take care of your body, diet, nutrition, projects, day-to-day minutia. When Jupiter is in this part of the chart, we feel really emboldened, empowered, inspired, optimistic to make positive changes in our everyday life, including our health and wellness. And maybe you got a lot of wind under your sails, so to speak, over the last month, and you're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to change my day-to-day life. I want to reorganize my schedule. I want to make changes in my diet. I want to swim more. I want to go to yoga or something, because it is Pisces after all. Pisces loves to dance, it loves to swim, it loves to glide. But this retrograde is just a preview, because when Jupiter turns retrograde, we'll actually leave Pisces on July 28th and spend the rest of the year back in Aquarius. So really pay attention to the stories around health and wellness and day-to-day life that are popping up around this retrograde on June 20th. Also on June 20th is the start of Cancer season. The sun goes into Cancer, and we also have the summer solstice here in the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice for those who are watching in the southern hemisphere. And it's a time of a new season for everybody. Cancer marks this next quarter that we will all go through, and then Cancer is the return home. It's about family, it's about taking care of ourselves, it's about nurturing. For you, it's the opposite, because Libra, you were born, you have what's called a flip chart. Everything sort of is flipped. So you've got Cancer actually at the top of your chart, normally just in the wheel of the zodiac at the bottom of the chart, but that's just the way it is. So yes, it is home, it is family, it is roots, it is foundation, the past, nostalgia, feeding yourself, taking care of yourself, but then it also is about career. So Cancer season is taking you into July, really focus on your professional ambitions and really getting whatever you need to get out there in the world. But speaking of home, we will have that Capricorn full moon on June 24th, and that does put a spotlight on your living situation. When there's a full moon in that part of the chart, we move, we make a change in the home, somebody moves in, somebody moves out. There's a need to really focus on home, maybe not as a physical place, but as an emotional space. Reconnecting with our parents, our family, our ancestors. But this is a part of the chart that has been seeing a lot of big changes over the last decade. I know that that's a huge amount of time, but Pluto has been in this part of your chart since 2008. So home and family, both as a physical and psychic space, look very different than it did 13 years ago. So this full moon is just always an echo on all the really deep emotional transformation work that you've been doing over the last decade, and it might bring up a lot of deep stuff, and maybe you are making a move because Saturn is square Uranus, and it's this need to break out of something that's confining you. We close out the month. Neptune turns retrograde on June 25th. It's, Neptune turning retrograde it's not easily perceived, but it's mostly felt, because Neptune will infuse the collective with these sensitivities, psychic intuition, dreams, crazy dreams. So really pay attention to what you're picking up on intuitively. It's also turning retrograde in your sign of health and wellness. Sometimes when I see Neptune in that part of the chart, we're a little bit more like food allergies, or we just our physical health is impacted by our emotional and our psychic health. So really look at the mind-body connection as you close out the month. And then Venus goes into Leo on June 27th. And for you, Leo is your sign of friends and community. So it seems like a very social month. Libra, it's also a time to focus on the bigger things, on your career, like where is this all going? What does this all mean? And then, of course, make some possibly seismic shifts in some other parts of your life. So that is your look at the astrology of June of 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman. Again, this is Empowering Astrology. You can find me online at empoweringastrology.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can book a consultation with me. Of course, go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you all next month. So until then, take care, Leo. Bye.